Good morning, everyone at Lakeview. Welcome to Paula Park. We're coming at you live this morning from within West Kelowna. And my name is Lori Bourgeois, and I'm part of the drama ministry here at Lakeview Heights Church. For the past 6 years, we've been running a drama camp for kids ages grade 4 up to grade 9. The campers come together, they learn to build sets, run tech, create costumes, and of course stage a show. And this year has been no different. In fact, we've actually had 4 of our campers graduate and become youth leaders in our program, which has been great. Along with staging the show, we do spend time connecting with each other and doing devotions, growing in our relationship with God. This year, we've had 16 campers, and we've been able to put together a physically distant but socially connected show. You're going to be seeing a filmed recording of our production, and you will notice some of the campers are staged quite close together. Those campers came to us already in a social bubble, so we've been able to use their connections and build our show based on what was already safe and healthy for them. This morning, we are excited to present this year's story, which is called Just Like Us. It's a story of friendship during a time of isolation. In a world where the blueberry people don't want anything to do with the Greenville people, we come to realize that actually they're just like us. Nobody is actually different. We're all created in the image of God. This is a timely message for our community right now during this pandemic, and we are so thankful to Lakeview Heights Baptist, to our pastors, and to our leadership for allowing our campers to come together in a safe way in order to present this story for you. So we pray that you would enjoy the story, that it would leave a resonating message within your heart today. Thank you for sharing this service with us.
Welcome to a land of fantasy where extraordinary things happen and nothing is like in the real world. You're probably wondering what a lonely, miserable tree like me is doing here. I used to be covered with beautiful, thick leaves, but now my branches are so very thin and weak. It would make me feel so much better if I could tell you what happened. Is that okay with you? Sure. Okay, thank you. I've been needing some friends for a very long time now. I'm a talking tree standing in an empty park. Some of the people around here call themselves the Blues. They love the color blue.
And why not? It's the color of blue skies, sapphires, and Christmas lights.
Tropical fish, blueberries, the blood of kings, and parakeets.
The biggest whales in the ocean, juicy grapes and peacock feathers.
That shiny beanbag chair in the deep blue sea.
Such a beautiful color, blue.
It looks so beautiful next to the color green in the rainbow.
That was a mistake.
Can you believe it?
Having such a wondrous color next to green. What a terrible accident.
We already written to the power that be so it can be corrected.
Any reply?
Not yet, but we're sure they'll listen to reasons.
And next to the color blue, they love to play music. The first thing they do in the morning is play a beautiful melody. And the last thing they do at night is play an even more beautiful melody because, of course, a day's practice makes them all the better. Now the Blues live on one side of what used to be a beautiful park. It isn't so beautiful now, as you can see. I'm the only tree left, and I don't look like I used to. No siree. A long time ago, they actually cared about me, but no more. No one comes to the park. And why is that? They don't get along with the folks on the other side of the park. They're afraid of one another.
You're mistaken, my friend. We don't live in fear. We're nothing but happy people here.
You see, on the other side of the park live the Greens, and since you're all very intelligent people, you are way ahead of me. They love the color green.
It's Mother Earth's favorite hue. So much better than the color blue. Lettuce, kale, zucchini, and beans are all beautiful shades of greens.
My house is green, so is my dad's car. We once had a blue one, but it didn't go far.
Money is green. You can't live without it. Life without money? Huh, I doubt it.
Grass is green where we rest for hours, and green stems give us all our flowers.
And once again, your intelligence is quick to see. The greens are all devoted to poetry.
Waste of time. Silly loons.
But so much better than silly tunes.
Make them stop. They hurt our ears.
Their horrid notes bring me to tears.
Their rhythm, their rhyme, it drives us insane.
Can't they just say what they mean without the frillies?
The frillies?
Yes, the frillies!
That's all poetry is.
The frillies you say? We'll pound you for that.
We'll force you to rhyme like the cat in the hat.
Wasn't always quite this bad, of course. It takes time to grow such dislike. Years earlier, the blues didn't play their music so often, and the greens' poetry wasn't so refined. Back then, the blues and greens would try to communicate. They were just beginning to get on each other's nerves.
Excuse me, one. Have you a minute? The poor park has little few things living in it.
It's not our fault. We'd love to tend to the park, especially our blueberry bushes.
And for our part, we would love to see brilliant green leaves growing on each tree.
But we can't get too close. It scares us too much.
We're afraid we'll hear some
Poetry!
Nothing compared to what we might face. That hideous music, what a disgrace!
Of course, it wasn't long before the inevitable happened.
Are you there?
I'm here, Five.
I was afraid you weren't coming, Dee. I wouldn't miss our meeting even if our time together is so fleeting. What a beautiful rhyme. Shall I play something?
Yes, something from your heart, something that won't tear us apart.
Five, what are you doing?
Dee, are you insane?
You're playing to a greenie!
Stop at once, you must refrain.
Go home, be gone, we shall talk later.
Of all the crimes to commit, none could be greater.
Come back to where you belong, Five.
Or you're upsetting everything we believe in.
But we're friends.
Friends? Don't let the words fall from your lips.
You can't be friends with one of these dips.
Five is my friend, best friend I know.
Oh, go home, Greenie. It can't be so.
One, didn't you hear? You rhymed.
And that's what's going to happen to you if you spend too much time with them.
Come home.
No.
Come back, Five.
Never.
Think of your mother, Dee. What will she do? You'll break her heart clean, through and through.
And your mama, Five, she isn't that strong. This will hurt her deeply.
Maybe it's not meant to be.
Our worlds are too far apart. Goodbye, Dee.
Goodbye, Five.
I continued to wither. The sad part is, no one seemed to mind things ending up this way, each comfortable in his own little corner of the world. As long as they stayed on their side of the park, there was no chance of contact, no threat of contamination. Only when the air was heavy and the breeze blew just so could the music of the blues cross the park to annoy the greens. And only when they partied did the rhythms and rhymes of the greens bother the blues. But nothing lasts forever, right? And so, this separate piece was destroyed one night by a storm.
The thunder rolled, lightning flashed, and the storm sent the blues and greens hurrying for shelter. At the same time, a stranger approached. As the storm wore itself out, the stranger sought refuge beneath me and fell asleep.
Beautiful music awoke the stranger. Please don't stop.
Who are you? How did you get here?
You haven't seen anything quite like you before.
Where did you get that color?
It looks dangerous. I see a touch of blue in it. It must be harmless enough.
Be careful! She might be one of them in disguise.
My name is Lena. I'm from the land of purple.
The land of purple? What's it like there?
We used to play all the time.
Like musical instruments, like us?
No, we used to play games.
What kind of games?
Oh, any sort, really. We loved them all. Things like soccer, baseball, and golf. It was such fun until the oranges came. They didn't like playing. They liked to read. They liked it quiet. So when our games began, they shut up their houses so they couldn't hear the cheering. But then so many of them came that they took over and stopped their games altogether. That's when my people rose in protest.
What a silly thing to fight over.
I know. Why can't we just have a time for quiet reading and a time for noisy games?
Sounds sensible to us.
Yeah?
I couldn't bear the suffering anymore, so I ran away. I've been traveling for days and days, and then the storm hit. Where am I?
The land of the blues is the best land in the whole world. We love music. Do you love music?
I don't know. I don't think I know what music is.
We'll play some for you. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, that's beautiful. Where I come from, we don't have music. Will you teach me to make music too?
Of course. Here's an instrument for you. It's a good one to start on.
You hold it like this, and play it like this.
Oh, that's excellent. She's got talent. You'll make a wonderful blue.
Why, in no time, you'll be just like us.
Here, have one of these blue dots. You don't need those little purple dots anymore.
Thank you all. And so Alina stayed with the Blues, who taught her music. She practiced until she was capable of the instrument. Slowly but surely, she came to not only sound like a blue, but look like one too. It's so nice to be in a land that's at peace.
And to keep the peace, you must promise one thing, Alina.
Anything. Never go across the park. That's not much of a park. That's true, and it's all their fault. Whose fault?
The Greens.
The rhythms and rhymes hurt our ears.
Just stay away, Alina, and we'll all be happy.
What Alina did not tell the Blues was that the Purples are very curious people. They love to investigate and learn. And Alina had no fear of new places. She simply saw them as challenges. And so, one evening, when Alina was alone, she walked to the park.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. She wears spots of blue, her hat is purple. Can this be true?
My name is Alina. I came to the Blues during a storm.
Oh, but you made a bad choice. Those people are fools. They live in a land where music rules.
I like music. Shall I play you some?
Never, never. We don't want notes here. All we want are words crisp and clear.
We are poets, can't you tell? We use words and use them well. That's wonderful.
Words tell us what the heart can't utter. Words clear all our thoughts of clutter.
Well-chosen words make the message
clear, so we understand everyone perfectly here.
Will you teach me to be a poet?
I don't know if you're that smart. Poetry has come straight from the heart.
But I want my words to work for me. I can learn anything. You'll see.
Oh my, you rhyme. Isn't that nice? But can you do it more than once or twice?
There's enough time to teach her a lot, but for now, how about a dot? Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate.
Four!
Come away from their things. You know you're not supposed to be playing so close to them.
But look, it's her, it's Alina!
So it is. One, we have news.
Alina's with the green!
Are you sure?
We saw her.
So she didn't run off? She's been there the whole time with one of our instruments?
We have to get her back. She played so beautifully.
That's not a good idea, 3. She's probably contaminated now.
True. I heard the greens are very mean and nasty.
But we can clean her up.
And the most important thing, we found her first.
Yeah, she's one of us.
So what are we going to do?
Summer's day. Popcorn
Greens.
Hammer nails.
Listen. Did you hear a sound? Nothing but the wind blowing around.
Thank you.
Rough winds do shake the darling buds of
Greens.
I thought I heard it that time too. Could it be a voice out of the blue?
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Greens.
It's one of them. Let's run and hide. If they get too close, we might be fried.
Wait, you have something that belongs to us.
Something that belongs to you is here? Not a chance of that. No fear.
We don't touch things belonging to you. We wouldn't do that. We might turn blue.
Return the girl Alina before you do terrible things to her.
But I'm fine, one. I'm really fine. The greens have been very, very kind.
Look, she rhymed. They're turning her into one of them.
But I'm not one of you.
There, the truth is out. No use, you blues scampering about.
Alina is here and here to stay, so take your music and go away.
But I'm not one of you either, eh?
What? It must be the sun. Maybe it's a fever. She's delirious. We can't just leave her. You're right. She's a green now, without fail. Protect her from them. Let's lock her in jail.
No, I don't need to be protected, eh? The greens won't harm me. Blues won't harm me.
Silly girl, you're no judge of them. In the likes of their kind, all problems stem.
Don't.
It's for your own good. You know we mean well.
You've got the comforts of home.
You got the comforts of home here in your cell.
What's happening? They've locked the girl up.
Just what I've always told you. They're heartless and cruel.
Trust us, Alina. We know what's best. Lay down and try to get some rest. When you think home, don't forget you'll see. Then we'll let you out, and you'll be free. I'll take this for your own good. That's right. Throw it deep in the wood.
Alina had never been locked in such a small space before, even when she had been in trouble. There was nothing to do. Nothing at all. Just watch the clouds slide across the sky, covering and uncovering the sun. It was sometime mid-afternoon that it happened.
I wish the sun would shine on me right now. I wish the blues and greens would get along. Show me how.
What are you doing with your voice in the park? And how can it be that you sound like a lark?
My instrument is gone. My voice is all I've got.
Do it again. I like what I heard. Teach me to sound just like a bird.
I wish the sun would shine, shine on me right now. I wish the blues and greens would get along. Show me how. I wish the sun would shine, shine on me right now. I wish the blues and greens would get along. Show me how.
What are you doing?
It isn't fair. It's just not right to keep you in this jail till night. Let's go ahead and leave. We don't have to return. Let's go into the world and grow and learn.
I wish the sun would shine, shine on me right now. I wish the blues and greens would get along. Show me how. I wish the sun would shine, shine on me right now. I wish the blues and greens would get along. Show me how.
What was that?
Nothing but the winds.
Alina, Dee, what are you doing here?
I had nowhere else to go. The Greens had locked me up. I had to escape them.
But what about you, Dee? You're one of them.
I don't have to be 5. There, you see. It's a removable dot. I can put it on the tree.
You still rhyme.
And you still play.
It's in my nature. You're just like all the Greens.
And you're just like all the blues.
Then be yourselves.
What do you mean?
They would never agree.
They would punish us both.
We might have to flee.
You rhymed.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
It was perfectly lovely.
What are you doing? Not bad for a beginner.
They haven't returned? Neither of the two? I bet they both became a blue. We can't let that happen. There could be more. We could be opening up a terrible door.
I hear they sleep on beds of dirt and lie on pillows of stones that hurt.
I hear they've never heard of soap as a bar or on a rope.
They scratch with fleas, head to toe, and warts upon their noses grow.
Their homes are overrun with rats, and from their ceilings hang 1,000 bats. We must save them from those nasty folk.
Get them back before they croak.
Return them to their rightful place.
Put an end to this disgrace.
In the quiet afternoon, when the sun is high, we'll go boldly marching by.
We'll break and destroy all of that they own, and then they'll leave us forever alone.
Where's 5? I got snack ready.
I know!
I haven't seen her since this afternoon.
I know!
She must be doing her chores or practicing her instrument.
But I know!
What do you know, 6?
5 went to the park!
No!
And Blue would never go to the park all by herself in the middle of the day.
I saw her!
Well, what can we do? We must rescue 5.
One's right.
But I'm frightened.
If we don't stand up to defend one another, can we really call ourselves blues?
All right, we'll go in the afternoon when the sun is high.
A sneak attack. The perfect plan.
I'm worried, Alina.
What's wrong?
I'm worried too.
You don't know our people.
They don't understand.
What don't they understand?
Blues aren't really so bad.
And greens aren't all that different.
Maybe we should go back.
But it's too late for that. Don't you see? You've already become different people. You can rhyme, and you can play. And you found curiosity, too. You'll never be happy again being one of them.
But maybe we shouldn't have come at all.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
The sun is high. It lights our way. Do what's right. Help us, we pray.
Blues, marching music.
their town? The Blues live here? There doesn't seem that much to fear.
I smell fires, warm and bright. And look, they even have a blanket that's white. Benches and towels and pillows outdoors. And look, they also have rugs on their floors.
Say, this thing looks like a book. Filled with words we know. Look. That's cool. What's with you, Greens? Where's your hate? You're acting like the Blues are great. I know this is fake. Do you know how? Where are the Blues? Where are they now?
Oh my, are we on the wrong spot? Nope, I saw the sign myself. It said Greenville. But this looks just like home. Just look at this house. It smells like roses. And look at that bench. Ours is just like it.
They have towels and pillows and rugs on the floors. Look at all those books. They must read a lot.
I'm so tired I could just flop. I like to think it a lot. I'm so tired I could just flop right on it.
I wonder if there's a snack lying around.
I'm surprised at you, Blues. Look at you, admiring everything that the enemy has. This isn't where they really live. This is just a setup. They're probably watching us right now. They're ready to attack.
Five, what happened to you? Where are all your dots?
Well, yes, I've changed and grown a bit. You might say it broadened my range a bit.
Ah, she rhymed!
Is this our D with spots galore? What have you gone and done this for?
I've just learned a few new tricks.
They've turned him into another beast. I don't like this in the least.
But wait, look there. Can't you see? Something happened to the tree.
I wish the sun would shine, shine on me right now. I wish the blues and greens would get along. Show me.
What's the girl doing?
She isn't holding an instrument.
Listen to her words. It's most strange.
It really is quite pleasant. Her voice has had a change.
Her words have rhyme and rhythm. It's poetry for real.
But she's put them to music.
From us she dares to steal.
She's the culprit. Let's run her out. She's wrecked our lives for good.
No, maybe she's changed our lives for good.
What do we do, one?
Why are you asking me?
Because you're our leader. And you must tell us, say, how we must proceed. What's the best way for us to succeed?
Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all. Put aside your differences. That's how you stand up tall. Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all. Put aside your differences. That's how you stand up tall. Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all. Put aside your differences. That's how you stand up tall. Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all. Put aside your differences. That's how you stand up tall.
You haven't caught
Lift a
anything
hand
yet.
and wave it. Give a
There's some
smile to
excellent
all.
books here.
Put aside your differences.
I think we're onto something.
I like to sing.
Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all.
Go ahead, let's make it official.
That's how you stand up tall. Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all. Put aside your differences. That's how you stand up tall. Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all. Put aside your differences. That's how you stand up tall. Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all. Put aside your differences. That's how you stand up tall. Lift a hand and wave it.
So that's what happened to me. The blues and greens were given the chance to live and work together. It's amazing how deep their dislike was just because they're different from each other. Could anything like this ever happen in your world? You all don't look the same. Some of you are shorter than others. Some of you have darker hair than others. And look, I bet you all don't have the same eye color. But those aren't reasons to dislike each other, are they? I'm sure in your world, everyone is like Alina and knows to appreciate the differences between people, right? Well, let's hope that's what will happen next in my world. Lift a hand and wave it. Give a smile to all. Put aside your differences. That's how you stand up tall.
Well, everyone, as I was going through the script this last week, a thought occurred to me. Like, I was reading it and I was watching some of the practicing and all the stuff that was going on to get ready for this presentation. And the thing that kept making me wonder, think about, like the question that was just constantly on my mind was this. When was this thing written? Like, doesn't it feel like it could just be like ripped right out of the headlines with all that's going on in our world today? Like, when I look around, the division that we face is incredibly noticeable and significant, right? Everyone just seems to be like in their own little units, their own little tribes, just sort of at war with each other, unless you see things exactly the same way, as we do. And it's just this whole big thing of division. So it seems like this whole play could have very much been, written in 2000 and 18, 19, 20, like anytime. I was a little surprised this week to find out that it was actually written back in 1995, 25 years ago. I mean, think about how different the world was back then. I mean, for one, like none of the campers, right? Or most of the leaders were even alive then, right? 95 was the year I was going from like grade 11 to grade 12. I mean, and what a different place the world was back in the 90s, right? I mean, there was some major conflict going on in the world with war on almost every continent, right? And yet, little glimpses of unity, of people coming together, right? Like you had for the first time, a American astronaut riding aboard a Russian-run spacecraft up into space. Like that's an amazing feat of collaboration, right? The internet was exploding. One person, I have a quote here, they said it was a watershed year. 95 was a watershed year for just the development of the internet, right? Things like Amazon and Yahoo and eBay all launched in 95. So you got all these, like the internet was just exploding and coming to life and becoming a thing that people were just starting to use to really connect in new ways, right? So you had these moments of real great collaboration and unity, but real times of division and strife and all kinds of things. And it does seem like if we go back through history, go back a decade before that or decades before that, there's always been, the history of people seems to be marked by moments of glimpses of unity and coming together, but a whole lot of division, kind of like we've seen in our play, right? And so I was thinking this week, and you know what? My mind flashed back to really definitely Jesus, as he was in a garden praying, right, hours before he was arrested. Just the evening before he would be hung on a cross and killed, he was in this garden praying, and his what seemed like really his number one prayer request was, God, make them one, right? He prayed again, like in John 17:11, right? He said, protect them by the power of your name, the name you gave me, so that they may be one as we are one. That was Jesus' heart for his people, for everyone who would, in the hundreds of years that would come, the 2,000 years since Jesus, that people would come together and be united and find unity. And so I was thinking, and I want us to think today, like there's about how can we really come together and find some unity. There's a lot of different biblical themes that we could turn to in passages that encourage that, right? We could look to Genesis. We could see that every person is made in God's image. Or we could look a little bit later in Genesis and we could see how all people come from the family line of Noah. That after the flood, when it was just Noah and his sons and their wives, God repopulated the earth, all from that common family. Or we could come under the whole unifying teaching of like Romans 3, that every person is sinful, right? That all have sinned, as Paul writes there. But instead, I want us to actually look at a different section of Romans chapter 11, because there's a beautiful picture of unity there I want us to consider. And there Paul says this. I'm going to read verse 11, and then 17 to 24. This is what Paul says here. He says, did they stumble? He's speaking about the Israelites. Did they stumble so as to fall beyond recovery? Not at all. Rather, because of their transgression, salvation has come to the Gentiles to make Israel envious. And then jumping down to 17. If some of the branches have been broken off, and you, though a wild olive shoot, have been grafted in among the others, and now share in the nourishing sap from the olive root, do not consider yourself to be superior to those other branches. If you do, consider this. You do not support the root, but the root supports you. You will say then, branches were broken off so that I could be grafted in. Granted, but they were broken off because of unbelief, and you stand by faith. Do not be arrogant, but tremble, for if God did not spare the natural branches, he will not spare you either. Consider therefore the kindness and sternness of God. Sternness to those who fell, but kindness to you, provided that you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you also will be cut off. And if they do not persist in unbelief, they will be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. After all, if you were cut out of an olive tree that is wild by nature, and contrary to nature, were grafted into a cultivated olive tree, how much more readily will these, the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? So let me summarize that a little bit for us, right? Here's kind of what Paul's saying. All right, there's a group which was, they were in with God, right? It was the Israelites. They were God's people, the ones he chose to bring redemption into the world, to bring a path to leave sin and come united with God, find relationship with him through the Israelites, right? They were the cultivated olive tree, is Paul's image for them. Then we've got this other group, the Gentiles. They're like wild, right? Disconnected. They're apart from God. They're off doing their own thing. They're just they're all over the world. You're disconnected, everybody else with the Israelites, right? What Paul is saying is, look, belief is what keeps you connected to the root, to the source of life, right? Those who didn't believe, they were cut out of that tree. But then God took the Gentiles, this wild bunch, and grafted them in, brought them into a place where they can find life and health and be close with God. You know, I'm actually here in my backyard, which is far from the ideal place to film things, right? You may even hear some of the background noise that goes on, right? Between like fur balls and helicopters and the highway noise of the back. But it's a really important place because every time I come in my yard, I'm reminded of these verses, right? I'm reminded of the fact that God is a gardener who can bring people in and graft them in together. And here's how I remember that. It's actually because of this tree right here. You probably can't tell because it's not as tight, but I have here, all these branches here, all in over here, they're apricot branches. But then I have over here, right? All in this area here and way down below out of view, all these plum branches. One tree, but like actually 3 different fruit, because there's apricots and there's golden plums and there's prune plums. And so years ago, some master horticulturist took all these different tree limbs and brought them together. Now here's the interesting thing, right? When they're all grafted into one tree, the apricots don't stop being apricots, and the golden plums are still golden plums, and the Italian prune plums are still Italian prune plums. But they're one tree with one source of nourishment, the roots that I'm standing on. There's one tree, one source of life for 3 different fruit. And that's a little bit too of this picture that Paul is bringing together, right? That you've got this group of people and this group of people and this group of people and this group of people, and they're all coming together. God's bringing them together and uniting them into one source of life. So there's a few lessons, I think, for us as we think about how do we be unified? And the first is this, that all branches share a common source of life, and it's Jesus. Jesus is the one who is life for all. And the reality of that is, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, if you're not trusting him, then you need to start that, because he's the source of life. And what Paul's clear on is that those who believe, those who trust Jesus, that he's the way, they get brought into the tree, and they get to be part of his people, right? So that's the first thing. There's only a common source that unifies us. The second thing is that there really is room for more, right? Yes, Paul talks about some of the Israelites being cut out, and in a way that made room, but he also says they can come back once they begin believing. He doesn't say that room needs to be made for them. There's a way back. There's a way in. There's always room for more. I've seen some pretty big, pretty loaded olive trees when I was traveling in the Mediterranean last year. And you know what? Though a tree may be absolutely loaded with branches, God will find a way. God will absolutely find a way to bring you in, to bring others in. Because there's always room for more. And that's something that's open and available to anybody who wants to begin trusting in Jesus. Well, the third unifying thing in this passage is that, you know what? As branches, we don't get to choose who comes in and who's joined in, who's grafted in, who's not. Right? So this is a moment for humility, that it really, humility is what we need if we're going to find unity. And we got to trust that God is he's going to do the work. He's the gardener. He's the one, bringing branches in. He's the one choosing. He's doing all of that. The only thing on our shoulders is to simply trust him, trust Jesus, that he is the way. Right? Branches don't get to be gatekeepers of who gets to be part of the tree. Right? We just enjoy the life that comes from being attached. So those are kind of the quick three things for us from this passage, right? That all branches share a common source of life, that there's room for more, and that we need to just humbly accept our position as branches, not gardeners, and that God's the one who chooses who's grafted in. So the challenge from Paul to the group that he was writing to the Christians in Rome, and even for us today, is that unity comes from finding a common source of life in Jesus and humbly accepting all who come to him as they are, chosen by the gardener because of their faith in Jesus. Guys, thanks for joining us this morning, and it has been an absolute pleasure to spend this time with you today and with the kids at Drama Camp this week. Let me just quickly close for us in prayer before we go. God, thank you that you're a good gardener, and you would love to have us in your tree and in your family. Thank you for making a way through Jesus. Help us trust him, and help us accept those that you bring in, and may we find unity in you. In Jesus' name, amen.